Hi, this is Henry Chamberlain. I'm speaking with Karl Stevens. He's an amazing artist, a cartoonist. We're going to be talking about Penny, among other things, mostly Penny, but also just a wonderful role of cartooning. How are you, Karl?
I'm doing well, Henry. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are your fans, they feel like they know you, of course, because of your comic strip, the nature of it being autobio and a slice of life. And so I feel like a kinship to you, and maybe on other levels too. Obviously on other levels because I'm a cartoonist, and also I've been a security guard, not recently, but in my past. And I
Oh,
don't want
really?
to say
Wow.
I'm not going to say anything bad about security guards because it's a very challenging position, even though a casual observer will see someone just apparently just standing there, but there's a lot more to it.
Yeah. Although it's funny, I've always noticed them in films, and they're like always either like slacking off and like missing the action that's going on, whether it's the place getting robbed or or they're killed. So they're either slackers or you know fodder for.
Well, I'm tempted to open my gift now. I've got a surprise Easter egg
Oh yeah.
to delve into. So we can start talking about it now. In the world of security guards and art, have you by any chance seen the Netflix series This Is a Robbery? Has
Oh,
it?
I sure have.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice to know.
Yeah, no, I actually work at the Isabella Stewart Gardner
Oh,
Museum
do
now.
you?
I do, yeah. That's my part-time gig. That actually I'm probably going to be quitting soon because of this new comics gig that I got. So it just I can't really get into it, but it's going to be this really intense year-long project,
Oh,
and I don't think I'll be able to, well, at least take a year off and see where I'm at in a year. But yeah, so I moonlight at the Gardner, so I know all about the theft.
my God, it's catnip for me.
Yeah.
The thing
What do
is
you want
that,
to know?
well, where's the art? I'm sure.
I know that's like the question. I mean, I'm not in the galleries anymore, but I have a desk job. They took me off the beat because I was starting to go crazy. But one of the reasons why I was going crazy was because of the questions about the theft. And one of the ones that we always got was, where are the stolen paintings? And my pat answer was always, nobody knows. That's the problem.
Now,
So
what do you think of the actual? Is it ineptitude, or were these guys just doing their job as best they could? The guy who buzzed him in, this stoner dude, and I don't think he would mind being called a stoner dude because that's what he was. That was his brand. I mean, that wouldn't happen today, or
yeah,
would it?
I would hope not. I mean, no. I mean, like I don't think. No, I mean, back then, like the security system. I mean, I can't really speak for sure, but it's not what it is today. I mean, it's definitely way more high tech, and there are cameras everywhere. So it would be. I mean, you know, it's just not what it's like back then. Um, but it was interesting to watch it. Like and I'm pretty close to Anthony Amore. He's like the current security chief.
Uh-huh.
So I probably shouldn't say too much. I mean, because he didn't really. I mean, he didn't watch the series. I mean, he said that it was okay for us to, of course, but um, because it's still under investigation. And the FBI is definitely still working on it. I mean, like the theory is that they're just waiting for somebody to go away so somebody can say something. I mean, because there was that press conference, I think it's in the film, where they um, note that they know where the paintings are, but that's all they've been able to say. So
Yeah.
I shouldn't really talk about it. I mean, after I quit, I'll tell you all I know.
Okay, sure. I'm not going to hold force you to
Or
say
don't
anything.
know.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, it's like a real shame because I mean, that I mean, especially that Vermeer. I mean, I would have loved to be studying that every day when I was in the galleries.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, there are only 30 in existence, and that's the only one in Boston, or was. So, I mean, in the Rembrandts too, like the Sea of Galilee, the only seascape. So,
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just doing a casual internet search, and that is a very popular poster. You can get it anywhere, and
mhm.
for good reason. But let me do a share screen, and so we can do this for the sake of folks that don't know your work. Hopefully, this will work. Come on, there we go. Now, I just happened to see this on your Instagram. I think this
Yeah.
is a beautiful place to take off. The New Yorker did this nice excerpt from Penny. Fully
Yeah, I'm
committed.
very grateful to them for that.
That's a great catchphrase. I'm fully committed to napping for the next 18 hours.
I know. Man, that should be a poster.
I know. I can no longer abide by the rules of man.
Yeah, these are all posters. I
I
guess that's why
know.
they picked them.
Yeah. Well, you have to think about how I'm not sure what the right word would be because I want to be. I'm kind of into running. I want to be part of the New Yorker cartoonists someday, maybe when I grow up. And so I don't want to say that they're too strict or they're too rigid. It's just a certain je ne sais quoi, a certain sensibility. Once they see it, they know it. So
Oh yeah, I mean it's I feel like I'm getting better at the rhythm. I mean, as far as the gag cartoons, um, but it's definitely a learning curve. I mean, I've always been a strip cartoonist, and I never considered becoming a gag cartoonist. So it's like learning how to like drive stick or something. Um,
yeah.
so, but I mean, like they approached me in 2018 after the winter came out. Emma Allen, the cartoon editor, um, like came across a copy of the winner at this bookstore in Brooklyn and asked if I would be interested in submitting.
Oh.
So, I mean, I couldn't turn her down. Being like a subscriber for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So, but like, she was really helpful at first. And, like she still is, but when I was first submitting, she would give me notes and, give me like a little idea of, little ideas about, what I could change. So,
Yeah.
it was great, I really needed that.
Well, Emma is good people. I got to see her a couple of years ago before the pandemic, of course, obviously, and she was very,
Hmm.
very gracious, and she advised me to submit completely finished work because then it has the
Hmm.
best chance of being approved. And the thing with me is
Oh yeah.
I'm a
No.
very I'm a very sensitive soul. So if I get I don't hear back or I feel like I'm rejected, it takes me a while to gather up steam again. But I kind of say that
Oh yeah.
I say that in jest.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I know exactly like how you feel. I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I'm very very sensitive, and I probably average one sale every like 2 months. And that's after probably 30 or 40, sometimes 60 cartoons. I mean, like
Yeah.
I've sold probably 20 or 21 in the past 2 years. So I mean, it's mostly rejection. But when you do sell one, I mean, there's nothing like it. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're like riding high for a couple days.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I've been gorging on Carl Stevens, revisiting Carl Stevens. So it's a treat to be able to share this with you and with everyone listening to this. Now, The Lodger, I think, is a wonderful gateway. Of course, The Lodger and Whatever, Failure, they're all collections of the
Mm.
comic strip in one form
Yeah.
or another. The Lodger is wrapped around the fact that you were a lodger and you had the but by the graciousness of your prof, you got to stay there and
Yeah.
you had to do a number of chores, so it wasn't totally free. And
No. Well, yeah. I mean, they were really lenient with me. I mean, it was kind of a dark period in my life. I mean, it was like the height of my alcoholism, and they treated me like a son, and I mean, I probably needed it at that point, but um, you know, it's I I wish I could look back on that time a little bit more fondly than I do. But
Yeah.
I got sober like not long after I moved out of there. So, but I mean, like Tony was an enabler in a way, because he likes to drink. So, it was
Yeah.
fun. I mean, like we would get wasted together and like watch movies, and
No, and
it
that's
was
fun.
fun. And like Natasha was always game. So I mean,
Well,
I felt bad because like Helen was so young, but you know, I don't think she. I mean, like my room was kind of sequestered, in like a distant part of the house, so I had like free access. Like I was. I mean, it was more like having like my own little apartment, So we just
mhm.
shared like a kitchen, so it was like a big sprawling Victorian. So
Well, it sounds wonderful in hindsight, I guess. I had that same experience, and I was fantasizing, what can I want to like, I feel like I'm in a bar. I want to pretend like I'm in a bar with having a pint and we're just chatting. And what
mhm.
can I say to be so wise and wonderful? And I was thinking, I can't even think now what exactly it was going to be. Something about youth, but you can really screw up. You're allowed to. You're welcome to do that in your 20s. It becomes harder
Yeah.
in your 30s, and at some point you become like a tragic comedy type of tragic comedic character. So you have to be careful as
Oh
you
yeah,
go.
for sure. Yeah, I know. I mean, it was really. I mean, it like happened when it had to happen. I mean, Alex, um, was pretty instrumental. I mean, she wasn't going to put up with me, just being hungover every day, and but we can get into that later, since that's the subject of the winter.
Yeah. Well, I was rewarded because I did not read all your stuff carefully over the years, I guess, because Anatomy for Artists, I don't think I was aware of it. And so carefully reading The Lodger, I'm hyper aware of it. I've actually even ordered a copy. I know that your professor bought up all the copies, so I think he profits every time
Oh
somebody
yeah,
buys one. But
yeah, I think
Anatomy
so.
for I would everybody go out and get yourself a copy.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it's
Anthony, is it a Pesos?
yeah, pesos.
And
He's
I
Greek.
I looked him up, and
Oh.
I love this video.
Yeah, wow, great.
This video is just priceless, and there's actual valuable information about the opaque and transparency of paint,
Hmm.
and the students are priceless. I mean, this could be a fodder for a Carl Stevens cartoon.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I've seen this one. I need to look.
Oh God, you got to look it up. This
Yeah.
this would have been in his contemporaneous to when you were drawing him in the lodger.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It looks like it's about 10 years ago. I mean, he has like a long beard and long white hair. He's very wizardly nowadays.
Which is cool. Yeah, I may end up doing something like that as I get older. But
Should.
here's Cookie, who
Uh,
I mean, I kind
Rest
of
in peace.
I kind of think it. Well, you can use your imagination. I mean, it could have been very well could have been Cookie, huh, instead of Penny, or am I just going off on a
Oh
limb?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, Cookie lit the match of anthropomorphism for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I really had a fun time when I was like writing her character,
And here's
and Quill too. Yeah.
I didn't find too many examples of Quill, but that's a fabulous one there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was well, it was like a old girlfriend's dog. So,
Oh,
but we weren't together that long.
well, here's where I would start unwrapping my Easter egg present and bring up the gardener. So I had it
Okay.
all planned out. I was going to bring it up right about here, and so I
Okay.
was gonna say, yeah. Now this must have been hilarious when you put this in the Phoenix for everyone, because this must be the talk of the town. It still is. The
What,
theft.
this?
Well, the theft
Oh,
of
the theft.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry. Um, yeah. I mean, like everyone's talking about it. I mean, at least at the museum. I mean, that's unfortunately, that's what people think about the museum now. But
Yeah,
I think it is getting people to visit, which is the upside.
it
Um,
is. Yeah.
because it was tough during the pandemic. I mean, we're still in the pandemic, but um, the trustees really stepped up and helped us out during it. So, um, but I think like this doc is definitely getting people in the door. So,
Well,
but
I'll,
go ahead. Sorry.
I'll save you from spilling any top secrets, and I'll try to yammer through here. Now, here was more because we're talking about the gardener at this point. So here's another example. This has nothing to do with the theft. This has to do with you actually
Mhm.
contributing a significant little piece of comic strip art.
Oh yeah. This was great. So this is the Botticelli show, Heroes and Heroines. Um, well, Nat Silver, who is the curator there, wanted to do something with one of our Botticellis, which is a triptych that tells the story of Lucretia. And the way they would always describe that painting would be, they said it was like an early precursor to the graphic novel. Sure, Scott McCloud would agree. And so they thought, and then they wanted, so sorry, like Botticelli did like a lot of these triptychs, and they got like three of them on loan, or two more on loan. And was it two or one? Jesus, I'm sorry. No, it was they got like they got one on loan, and then they had like other paintings that were similar. Like the other one was the story of Virginia. But the point was they wanted to commission a contemporary cartoonist to reinterpret both those stories, and also do something about how Gardner acquired the paintings, which is what this panel is from. That's her speaking with the guy who bought or like helped her acquire like a lot of her paintings, Bernard Berenson, who's also this great art historian, pretty influential writer and collector. So he like got her the Botticelli from this English lord, I believe, this Lord Ashburnham, and he was able to talk him down. I can't remember what the price was, but she bought it, and it was the first Botticelli, as the balloon says, in an American collection. So, so like they commissioned me to do 8 drawings, I believe. So it was this 12 panel comic strip about Gardner acquiring the painting, and then there's a 1 page about the story of Lucretia, and then one about Virginia, and then I did some landscapes of Florence that were hung above these paintings that Botticelli did, that also had images of 15th century Florence in the background. So, and then there was like a larger drawing of um, this like parade, which name escapes me right now because my stoner brain doesn't work correctly. um, so there was like this large like crowd scene. It's like it happens every year. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm not sure I do, but
It's
I
this like
understand.
medieval parade in like downtown, and like throughout the like main part of Florence, near the Duomo.
Oh, well, yeah, I can imagine.
Um, fuck, it's gonna come to me as soon as we get off.
Oh, yeah, it's just a freewheeling interview. Now, here's
Yeah.
a chance to tell me where this painting is, but I guess I'm not gonna.
I'm sorry, I ruined your joke. It's actually like in the attic of the Garter. It's all like an inside job. They just did it to get people into the museum.
That could be a graphic novel.
Yeah. Oh, I've thought about it, man. I actually like approached Anthony once and asked if I could do a graphic novel dramatization of the theft,
Hmm.
but he said no. But I guess I don't need his permission. I could just do it.
Well, yeah,
But
he's just hoping that you'll just take him by his word that you can't. But this is a beautiful
yeah.
among so many of your portraits and figure studies. So I just thought I'd show this,
Oh, thanks. That's a watercolor, Fanny.
and this is
And yeah,
also
another one. These are so both from the Lodger. Yeah,
now.
it's my friend Jamie with unfortunate facial hair.
Oh well, that's just us humans. But so, who is your writing partner? Have you been working with him lately? You have
Who?
somebody you worked on him with success?
Oh, Gustavo Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, we just worked on Success together, and he was helping me with some of the gags for the New Yorker when we first started, but we both agreed that we shouldn't work together anymore
Oh, well,
because it was just getting in the way of the friendship. Because like we're both pretty hard headed, um, and it's just better for the friendship to do it
yeah,
separate. So I've been writing everything myself now.
yeah.
So
Collaborations are very complicated. Um, but I guess
well, especially like with your friends, you know, because it's hard to be professional with. I mean, at least I find it is with my friends. So I
oh
don't know.
God, I was just trying to work with a buddy of mine in college on a humor literary magazine, and it just became like the most monumental task imaginable. And we had to split ways on the magazine. Oh, I'm going to do my own, and
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
it doesn't even fucking matter. It was going to be fun, but
Yeah.
um, but anyway,
No.
I digress heavily there. Now, I was going to say, well, you're certainly capable of doing a screenplay. Have you ever considered maybe doing that? Because I could see with the Alston scene that it, my notes here, let me refer to my notes. Yeah, I was thinking it could be any director like Woody Allen, Whit Stillman, and Greta Gerwig. I could
Yeah.
see something like that. Have you, I'm sure you've thought about it or talked about that with your friends at some point or other.
Oh yeah, like all the time. I mean, you know, if I wasn't such a drunken fuck up in my 20s when I was doing whatever, that's what I wanted to do. You know, like I wanted to be, you know, Greta Gerwig or Woody Allen. I mean, it's but there's still time. I mean, actually, I had a couple false starts back then, and I have like all the material, like all the reference material, and you know the stories are sketched out, and so like at some point I want to revisit it and do like a collection of the Xeric book, Guilty, and all those early whatever strips, but also pepper in these half finished screenplays. Because I mean, I think I have a theory that it would all hang together as this sort of like Christopher Isherwood Berlin stories kind of thing. You know, like I'd call it like, you know, like the Alston stories, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and you know, so I don't know. I like briefly mentioned it to I like reached out to the editor of the New York Review of Comics, um, you know, like a while ago, and pitched the idea, and you know, I think he was interested, but just not yet. But I think it like needs time to like germinate. I mean, you know, I really need to think about how it's gonna fit together, but that would be that. But I mean, but I do have like another story that I want to do that is definitely in a similar vein, but um yeah, but it's not going to be like a series of short stories. It would, you know, just it would be like a 3 act kind of thing. So you know,
Well,
maybe after the project that I'm doing right now, I might get to that, but it depends. I mean, I've I've been pretty lucky like these past couple years, like financially with comics. So I sort of feel like I need to keep that going. So I'm like starting
yeah,
to like feel that like pain of like, well, you know, like should I, you know, take the risk and like do this, you know, quiet, you know, like romance, essentially romance comic.
hmm,
So because like the one I'm working on now is a horror comic that is based on a screenplay written by a very prominent American treasure um,
Hmm.
Hollywood actress whom I probably can't name their name now, but yeah, it's going to be like a big project published by a big publisher. So I
Nice.
feel like whatever I do after that, you know, like I want to do something. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just like so like immersed like in that story right now that I can't really like allow myself to, think of the next book.
Yeah.
I've been trying to train myself to stay focused. I guess that's the point. Is this like up until like recently, like with Penny, well, I guess like the winter. I mean, I was really thinking, I wasn't thinking as like clearly about um, where it was going, like with my work, but like now, I mean, as far as like, uh, you know, like what I wanted my career to like look like, but I
Yeah.
feel that now I do, like I do want to do like some genre pieces that are all, like kind of hang together as like one story and, sort of move away from or just use the experimentation that I did in my 20s and 30s and really just put it into like a more conventional like narrative structure.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No.
I'm all over the place right now.
No.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's fascinating for people to listen to that, and I think you could, for instance, to chat with Dan Klaus because he's certainly done a little of this, a little of that, and become a full-fledged screenwriter, and then
That's true. Yeah.
shifted gears to whatever project he has to focus on, and so
Yeah.
here, it,
Actually heard that he was trying to adapt like a realist kind of style or like he was in one of the projects and I was curious to see like and well I heard that he like quit working on it because it was too hard or like too much work but I was actually kind of like secretly scared because I knew that if he had come out with something that was like this Alex Raymond, Al Williamson sort of style, then like he would get all the credit for like, pumping new life into it, even though I've been slaving away at it for like, 15 years.
oh,
So hopefully he won't.
you have nothing to worry about. People respect what you do.
Yeah.
I, well, cartoonists are very notorious for being self-deprecating, or just artists in general. But I mean, you are the real
Yeah.
deal. I say
Oh,
the real
thanks.
deal, and very seriously. I think for me, the definition of a true cartoonist, and some people will beg to differ, is somebody who actually is the auteur, who writes and draws, who does everything. And you don't have to always
Yeah.
do everything, but if you can do it, and you've done it over and over again, so you've got
Hmm.
an exciting career still ahead of you.
Oh, well, thanks. I mean, yeah. I I mean that is still like my ideal way of working, but like working on this script now I think is good like in in like in this in like that regard because it's a good exercise to really because it's a very structured like three acts. There's action, there's quiet scenes. So I mean I'll get to flex muscles I haven't flexed before, and it's teaching me something about pacing as well. And so it's good. I mean, so I think like whatever I do next will probably be something that I write, and but having like worked on somebody else's script, I've definitely learned a lot from doing it, which is like how I mean I'm basically like an autodidact, as far as it comes to art. So like I like need to um you know, like try and fail or like, to like try and succeed. So, but this project's going to succeed.
Yeah, yes, it will. So this is this is my last slide.
Oh.
If this were a slideshow, and so we end on a happy note with Penny, and you were talking about the sci-fi epic. So this kind of
Mhm.
has a little bit of well, it certainly does have that element to it, and you also have that in the winter. This going into
Yeah.
other dimensions stuff going on there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that is definitely like an itch that I really, really want to scratch. I've like I've been binging on all kinds of um like genre comics from like the 70s and 80s. I bought all the heavy metals from 77 to like 87.
Hmm.
And just and then collections of a lot of the cartoonists in there, like Kaza and Mobius. I've gotten as much Mobius as I can get my hands on. um so I mean, I'm definitely thinking in like that vein, at least like visually, these days. Because that's, for most of my 20s, I mean, I was looking at comics, but not as much as I am now. I mean, I was looking more at like fine art than, um, like studying, drawings by like Fragonard or, like Rembrandt. So I was trying to adapt like that line. I mean, it was like those lines that I was looking at more, whereas these days I'm looking more at, ink, like cartoonists. So I mean, I guess like that was, I mean, that's always been like my drive, like aesthetic, is that, like the history of comics has always just been based on other comics or like commercial illustration. It's like rare that like you get someone that, you know has been studying like art history like in a real serious way. So like a lot of cartoonists like look like they are commercially made, or like, they just have that sort of like slick like line to it. Like it's different from like, a more fine art sort of line. I don't know, it's hard to describe, it's very abstract. But I mean, that was just my like precociousness, I guess, as like a younger artist, was that I was trying to bring that sensibility, um to comics. I mean, it sounds really pretentious to say it out loud, but
No.
I was also just more drawn to it. I mean, like, I would try drawing in like a more cartoony style, and like I would just get bored. Like I was only interested in like realism because it was just it was more complicated, and it just kept me interested. And also like, like the history of realism in comics, sort of died, I guess, like in a serious way, in the 60s, much like representational art in general, and it's just all been cartoony. And then, with like Art Spiegelman, and like McLeod, and like a lot of people like kind of railing against it and saying that it was antithetical to like the idea of comics. And like, I don't think that's true. I just don't think it's been explored. you know, I mean, there's like Alex Raymond, right? But I mean, like, who's like the pinnacle realist artist?
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. I've got a ton of books to look through. Farrell Dalrymple is a realistic type of guy.
Kind of, yeah. But I mean, he's still kind of cartoony.
Oh yeah. Oh shoot.
You know, he,
There's somebody I can't think of. What is her name? Oh shit. Well, there's examples. I'll just put it that way. There's examples. I can't think of her name, but yeah, you're right. It is a lot of cartoony stuff, and for me, I love realism. Like when I'm patient, and actually I can get some very nice results if I give myself the time. But one thing that always I found like a roadblock was I never really got the hang of the quill pen. I can do it, but I have to be very patient with myself. I prefer
oh
the
yeah,
brush.
it's tricky.
I
Hmm.
prefer a brush. I prefer that expressive, that blush style. And
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, no, I mean, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, I feel like I'm getting on in years that there's a certain way that I do things, and I could still experiment with different styles, but I think I do what I do. I do what I like to do, and so that, I
Yeah,
don't know
man.
where
I
I don't.
mean, yeah, that's. I mean, like I'm the same way. I mean, it's. I am trying to. I mean, it's. I've experimented like with a brush as well, but I feel like I'm like Crumb. Like when Crumb started using a brush, like I'm just as noodly. Like I end up just cross hatching with the brush too. So
Yeah, what you can do, of course.
yeah, yeah. Actually, like, all those Rip Kirby, Alex Raymond strips, like he inked all those with a brush, and it's pretty fascinating. I mean, like when you see like the originals, it's just such like this like sensuous line, and it's just brushed in. Like even like the really thin, like crosshatched bits to it, like it's all drawn with a brush. I mean, it's really astounding. But
But I asked Peter Bagg off camera what pen he uses because I hadn't looked it up. I didn't know, and he says he uses a Pentel brush pen, and so
Hmm.
I bought one, and I said, how the hell does he get that kind of line? But you have to be really patient, very light, and you can get that line.
Hmm.
But Windsor Newton
Series 7.
Series
Yeah.
7 number 2 is what I've been
Yep.
using, or
No,
or,
yeah.
or variations on that. This one guy in a art supply store said, "Well, I'm sorry, sir, we don't carry that anymore." Well, you do, maybe you don't, but it's not hasn't gone away.
Yeah, no way. Yeah, yeah, I've bought some of those. Yeah, I definitely use like that exact brush when I am inking with the brush. But I love Peter Bagg, I gotta say. Like, I was like hounding him a few years ago to like collaborate on a book because
Uh-huh.
I mean I must have studied hate like like the Torah like you know well since it came out. I'm constantly going back and like rereading it. Well, I reread it probably once a year, like the whole series. And I always thought that like my drawing style and like his writing would be perfect in like a lot of ways. And I've like thought about like covering like some of those hates. Like I thought about redrawing them in like my style and like pitching it to like Eric Reynolds to see if he would be interested
Oh, he
to like
probably,
redraw like
yeah.
hate and like maybe some of like the other like classic like fan titles, but all like you know I don't know. It's just like a half-assed idea, but I just really wanted to work with Peter. But I think I mean, he like gave me like a couple things that he had pitched in the past, but it just kind of like fizzled, and we went on to other projects. But
Yeah.
if I'm gonna collaborate again, I would love to. Peter, if you're watching this, call me.
Well,
But he
I
doesn't have my number. No,
well
I don't know. I mean,
you can get his
I'm
email.
sure.
That
Yeah,
email
no, I mean,
that that email he puts on hate, that's still an active email.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know. I mean, we've like emailed, but I get a sense that he thinks I'm just some like jive like fanboy or something. So
I don't think so. He's an easygoing guy, and I mean, anyway,
yeah, I know. It's my own it's self-deprecation.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's
But I mean, but like his like drawing style though, I mean it's it is incredible. I mean there is nobody more expressive. I mean I know it's been said, but he's definitely like our later day Harvey Kurtzman, like in that regard,
yeah.
just the expressions that he gets with those forms. It's about
I
on
was going to say that your cartooning journey it kind of reminds me of Alison Bechdel in a way because she was so grounded in a comic strip, and then she's blossomed into a
the
graphic novel format. And I think she made that conscious decision, like maybe if she's going to pursue something broader, she's going to have to give up the comic strip or whatever it was. But in your case, it seemed like
yeah.
the comic strip it didn't have you kind of overcame whatever limitations, right? It felt like you could do almost anything with your comic strip. Yours was maybe a little more unconventional, or does that make sense? Or
The one for the Phoenix.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I had free form. It like started off like they wanted me to do something that was about Alston, like the hipster like student neighborhood, and I stayed true to that for the first like 3 years. But then, as the strip got popular, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, and they just printed it. So I mean, I had like a really easygoing art director, and I was kind of an asshole. I mean, I would try to sneak in things, mostly like nudity because I knew that they would have meetings about it in editorial. I mean, with the first book that I did, which got me the gig at the Phoenix, was that Xeric book called Guilty. It was a 64-page novella, and um, I mean, like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do these long form stories. Like the next book I wanted to be like twice as long, and then like the one after that longer, and then just do more and more complex stories. Again, like with the Greta Gerwig sort of idea. But but the Phoenix did a review of Guilty and they really liked it, and that's when they asked me to do the comic strip. So I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to turn down a paying gig. So I just started thinking, in like the comic strip form as like, so I had to really like change my brain almost, just like really like think about gags, just like setting up jokes and like just one page strips, and like not really think of long. I mean, I was still thinking and like writing these long form stories, but like I said earlier, I couldn't finish them because because of my degenerate lifestyle and also just having this weekly deadline. And like I wanted to pour everything into the weekly strip too. I was cross-hatching the hell out of it. I was spending like 15 to 20 hours on the comic strip, so that that would like kill me. And I was also painting too. Like I was painting almost every day, and because I had that bug as well. So how did I make something great so tragic?
Well, you're going to come full circle since you're, at some point you'll return to this 3-act graphic novel, Greta Gerwig-ish, that your instinct told you to do in the first place.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's, I mean, even just like commercially, I mean, that's the market, I mean, like my strip was kind of like, I mean, even like Penny, like in the Village Voice, I mean, it's like the last days of the alt weeklies, which is fucking tragedy for the country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, especially in Boston, because Boston is so ugly and like gentrified, it's just, it's really like, like a husk of like what it once was. I mean, as far as like the counterculture, or like, music scene, or maybe I'm just fucking 42 and I don't know what's going on anymore.
No, that's the same with Seattle. The high density developers have pushed out a lot of the cool bars,
like artists, yeah.
Artists, yeah, the rents sky high, all of that stuff. Yeah, so it's you're getting older, that's for sure, but it is a reality too. We're all getting
Yeah, I know it's that. Yeah, but it just seemed like all weeklies were. I mean, maybe it's also just digital, but I mean, like we still have an all weekly here called the Weekly Dig, and they're good. I mean, like some of the best local reporting is done at the Dig, and they have good, really top like film reviews, and it's like well written, but it's not like what the Phoenix was. I mean, like the Phoenix at its height was. I mean, I'm sure it's the same like with The Stranger. I mean, it was just like that's what everyone read. They just it was like the go-to like for like shows, and I mean mostly people looked at it for like, show listings, but
oh for sure,
but there was like some pretty intense like I mean they broke the like Cardinal what's his name, Cardinal Cushing, I think, the guy that like the Catholic priest or the cardinal that like molested all those boys. that's in that movie Spotlight. But it's like the Phoenix that like broke it. It was like they're like reporting that that like tipped off the people from the Boston Globe. Comics all weekly, it would be like 60% comics, and the other 40% would be like local reporting. But and I would like recruit all of my favorite cartoonists and just pay them like $1,000 a page or something to like create like whatever they wanted. So it would just be like this beautiful like free alt weekly paper. It was mostly comics. So
well, I could see a lot of the you
but that would be a lot of work.
you could a lot of them could be streamlined. It could be comics journalism. It wouldn't necessarily be a comic strip, a slice of life. It could be comics. Put on your comics journalist hat and create some news stories using comics.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess like the Nib does that to an extent.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool to like just have it be like an old fashioned like tabloid like newspaper. But
yeah, well, I could get into a rabbit hole about that because I think it's the quality that you'd always have to be mindful of. So you'd have to be like
Yeah.
The New Yorker and have standards.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would only be yeah. I couldn't. I would have to do a lot of cutting. So I'm like too nice. I wouldn't be able to do that. I would have to poach Emma.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to say goodbye. Maybe we'll do this again sometime. I don't want to take it.
Yeah.
I don't want this to go on forever, although some people like to go on a little bit longer than maybe they should. It's good to know when to stop. So
Yeah.
here's Penny, folks. If there we go, Penny, and I'll unless you had anything else you wanted to add, Carl.
No, yeah, just Penny. It's a story of my house cat, who we rescued from the streets of Brooklyn and brought her into our posh Boston apartment as our prisoner. And it's about her dark thoughts about wanting to escape, and then she escapes herself, like literally, and then also like figuratively, like inside of her imagination. Or does she? It's very ambivalent. What do you think, Henry? Well, I know what you think. You wrote that wonderful review for me, and I
Oh,
was really touched by that.
that really warms my heart for you to say that. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
it was amazing. And actually, Chronicle put a blurb up on the Amazon page.
Oh, how nice. I like that.
So, so yeah, they were like over the moon about it as well. So,
Well,
so thank you.
I aim to please. Well, thanks so much, Carl.
Thank you, Henry. It was good to finally meet you.
Likewise.